Welcome to This Explainer. All right, let's dive right in. Picture this for a second. You're just chilling at home, minding your own business, when suddenly, boom, the glow of dark blue and red police lights starts flashing right outside your living room window. Then you hear it, that loud, authoritative knock on your front door. Your heart literally drops, right? It's one of those super high-stress moments we all pray we never have to deal with. But if it does happen, do you actually know where your rights begin and end under U.S. law? Today, we're going to break down exactly what the law says about police coming into your house and give you some incredibly clear, no-nonsense guidelines.
So, you're probably peering through the people, looking absolutely terrified, and the main thought racing through your head is, cops are at the door. Do I actually have to let them in? Look, it is completely normal to feel a massive spike of anxiety here. These are authority figures on your porch, and your home, that's your sanctuary. But right now, I want you to just take a deep breath. We are going to pivot from panicking to being empowered. Think of this explainer as your calm, trusty safety walkthrough. By the time we're done, you'll have a crystal clear step-by-step game plan for handling this exact scenario.
Now here's the absolute biggest warning I can give you. The real danger in a police encounter at your front door isn't necessarily the knock itself. It's the panic. Seriously, most people completely freeze up. Because they're nervous or feeling intimidated, they unknowingly just hand over their constitutional rights. They swing the door wide open, step out of the way, and basically waive their legal protections without even realizing it. That is exactly why knowing your rights is absolutely crucial. And hey, this isn't about being confrontational or difficult. It's simply about understanding your legal baseline so you don't accidentally forfeit your rights just because you were scared.
To completely take the anxiety out of the unknown, we've got a super organized roadmap for you today. We're going to cover 1. When police come knocking. 2. Setting up the scene. 3. Warrants explained simply. 4. Exact phrases to use. 5. Mistakes to avoid. And finally, 6. Emergency exceptions.
All right, jumping right into Section 1. When police come knocking and your initial reaction.
Just think of me as your legal flight attendant right now, pointing out the safety exits before we take off. Honestly, your very first reaction basically dictates how the entire rest of the encounter is going to go. If you start from a calm baseline, you keep control of your environment. So, here is your highly predictable, step-by-step action plan for the second you hear that knock. Step 1, stay calm. Like we said, panic is the enemy of your rights. Just take a breath. Step 2, keep the door closed. That is your physical boundary. And Step 3, communicate respectfully. Look, knowing your rights totally doesn't mean you need to be aggressive. Actually, being polite is the absolute safest, most effective way to assert where you stand legally.
Moving right along to Section 2, setting up the scene and establishing those boundaries.
Okay, so how you physically manage the space between you and the officers changes the legal dynamic entirely. It's not just about the words coming out of your mouth, it's about how your home is positioned in that split second. The golden rule here? Keep the door closed while talking. You absolutely do not need to swing your front door wide open just because somebody knocks. You can communicate right through a fully closed door, or, if you really have to, crack it open just a tiny bit with the chain lock still on. Why does this matter? Well, because in the eyes of the law, opening the door wide can sometimes be interpreted as an invitation to come inside. By physically holding that boundary, you're sending a loud and clear but unspoken signal that this is your private sanctuary, and coming inside requires real legal justification.
Now that we've got the physical boundary locked down, let's hit Section 3, Warrants explained simply, the legal authority. So U.S. law essentially places this massive, invisible shield around your house. And piercing that shield, that requires some very specific legal tools. Simply put, a warrant is the formal legal authority or permission that police need in a lot of situations before they can enter a home. Under U.S. law, your permission is a huge deal. Without you explicitly saying, "Come on in," officers generally need this specific piece of paper, which has to be signed by a judge, just to cross your threshold. It is literally the gold standard of legal authority. Let's break this down into a real-life comparison. Think of police with a warrant as having an all-access VIP backstage pass. If they have that signed piece of paper, they must be allowed in. You can't stop them. They've got the ultimate entry ticket. But police without a warrant, honestly, they're kind of like a salesperson ringing your doorbell. Sure, they might really want to come in and look around, but they absolutely need a direct invitation from you to make that happen. No VIP pass, no invitation, they stay outside. It's really that straightforward.
Let's get into the specifics in Section 4, exact phrases to use, basically your script.
I'm going to act as your personal scriptwriter for a second here.
Imagine you're standing behind your closed door. You are totally calm and you know they need that VIP pass to get in. So what exactly do you say? Here it is, memorize this. Do you have a warrant? That's it. You don't need some long, rambling explanation. You definitely don't need to argue your case like you're in a courtroom. Just politely and clearly ask that one single question. It forces the whole interaction to stick to the strict boundaries of the law. Having this script ready in your head completely eliminates the stuttering and second-guessing when the pressure is really on.
Moving to our next vital area, Section 5, mistakes to avoid to ensure you're staying safe. Okay, so knowing what to say is super empowering, but knowing what not to do is literally about your physical safety. When those red and blue lights are flashing, tensions can run incredibly high on both sides of that door. So we need to lay down some rigid guardrails. First off, don't panic. Second, and this is absolutely crucial, never, ever physically block officers. If they decide they are coming in, whether they have a warrant or they're claiming an emergency, do not use your body as a barrier. No way. Third, do not resist. If you feel like your rights are being violated, the courtroom is where you fight that battle, not your front doorway. And lastly, don't forget to communicate respectfully. De-escalation is your best friend here. You can firmly stand your ground legally while keeping a calm, polite tone.
And finally, let's look at Section 6, emergency exceptions, and exactly when those rules change.
To make sure you have a completely realistic 360-degree picture of U.S. law, we got to talk about the exceptions. The law isn't 100% rigid, right? It makes room for urgent life-or-death realities. So in a standard situation, the police need your permission or a warrant to come inside, and you are totally in control of that boundary. But in an urgent emergency, let's say they hear someone screaming for help inside the house or they're in hot pursuit of a fleeing suspect, the laws may actually allow officers to enter without your permission and without a warrant. In those cases, immediate action is required to save lives or lock down a dangerous situation. So in those incredibly rare, high-stakes moments, that VIP backstage pass rule is temporarily suspended by the law.
So that brings us to the end of our explainer, and I really want to leave you with this one thought to chew on. Are you ready to protect your sanctuary with just a little bit of simple legal knowledge? Listen, you don't need a fancy law degree to keep your home and your family safe. You just need to remember to stay calm, keep that physical boundary of the door closed, politely ask, do you have a warrant, and never physically resist. Knowing these basic rights literally transforms what could be a terrifying moment into a completely manageable one. I highly encourage you to keep diving into simple legal awareness content because at the end of the day, knowledge truly is your best protection.